This is perhaps the most frightening Bigfoot story you've never heard of. History is haunted by giants, wild men, and hairy hominids, but most of their stories have been lost to time, and I say not on my watch. I am the Creature Preacher, and I am on a mission to resurrect the world's forgotten legends. Yesterday, we began a series in Russia with the creature known as Abanyahu and told the story of Zena, the wild woman. Today, we stay within Russia, but we move farther south to visit the creature known as Efanya, a reported giant hominid said to inhabit the Kola Peninsula in the Murmansk region of northern European Russia. It is typically described as standing between 7 and 8 feet tall with dark skin, a round head, wide forehead, and a wrinkled face with reddish eyes set wide apart. Its body is covered with mostly light gray hair, with darker and lighter patches. And according to reports, it moves in a stooped manner, sometimes knuckle walking, although it is capable of running quickly and climbing trees with great agility. The name Efanya was reportedly coined by a group of Russian teenagers who encountered the creature while on a fishing expedition, and this is where it gets creepy. Near Lake Lavazero in 1988, they were allegedly pestered and chased by the entity for several days. The account from the summer of 1998 near Lake Lavazero remains one of the most frequently cited stories regarding the entity known as Efanya. According to the reported testimony, a group of local teenagers were camping on the shores of the lake in the remote, very sparsely populated tundra of the Kola Peninsula. And what began as a routine fishing trip began turning into an unsettling experience nearly immediately, and it lasted for several days. On the very first night of the encounter, the group reportedly heard unusual, heavy footsteps circling their campsite. It gives me chills to think of it. And it was accompanied by a sound they described as a strange, low-frequency mooing sound that did not resemble any local fauna like bear or moose. They initially dismissed these noises, but the activity intensified over the following evenings. The group claimed that small stones and sticks began to be thrown at their tents from the surrounding tree line, pelting them, suggesting that an unseen entity was observing them and perhaps attempting to drive them away. When the teenagers eventually caught sight of the creature, they described a towering figure standing well over 7 feet tall. The being reportedly moved with a stooped, hunched-over posture, occasionally supporting its weight by placing its knuckles on the ground. Yet it displayed shocking speed when it moved between the dense birch and the pine trees. The witnesses were struck by its distinct physical features, specifically noting its dark, leathery-like skin, a round head with flattened, wide forehead, and unsettling, wide-set eyes that seemed to glow a reddish hue in the dim, subarctic light. As the situation escalated, the group felt as if they were being actively stalked. They claimed that the creature would shadow them from a distance during the day and press closer to their camp once darkness fell, sometimes lingering near their supply area. These are teenagers, and they eventually packed their gear and left the area prematurely, clearly shaken by the persistence and perceived intelligence of the creature. Their account later reached regional researchers who interpreted the encounter as a significant report of a cryptid. Although skeptics have often debated the veracity of the claims, citing the extreme isolation of the region and the tendency for local folklore to influence perception in such a remote wilderness setting. The nickname is a diminutive form of Russian name Afanasy, which, though is not often noted, the name may have been inspired by the 1978 Soviet film called Afanya, which features a character who is a plumber, and maybe not the greatest looking of men. Following the teenagers' report, researchers included Maya Batkova visited the region. They claimed to find evidence such as tracks, hair, and feces, and developed specific calls that the creature supposedly responded to. Reports suggest that the creature is primarily nocturnal. It may inhabit abandoned cabins or houses, upping the creepy factor. It is known to throw rocks and sticks as weapons, and has a vocalization described as a mooing sound. The region itself is noted for its harsh tundra and taiga environments, and its history is deeply tied to indigenous populations, Soviet-era industrialization, and significant scientific projects like the Kola super deep borehole that we've covered on this page. People enter the taiga and disappear with disturbing regularity. A coincidence? I personally think not, and I wonder what the Afanya could really be. An expedition in 2026 by the team came up with a very similar experience. Their tents were pelted with rocks and sticks during the night, and they were listening to a strange low-frequency mooing sound as something moved in the tree line not far from their camp. They never got sight of it, but they did claim to see eye shine on 2 occasions as the beast fled deeper into the taiga. What do you suppose it is? To be quite honest, it sounds very much like an ape to me, more so than a wild man. But it's up for interpretation. Let's hear the comments.